Yo, new comic book day is almost here, so it's time to take a look at the books coming out this Wednesday so I can tell you what I'm getting. What's up, guys? BJ Kicks here. I buy comics, I read them, and I review them, all for your viewing pleasure. If you're new here, welcome. If not, welcome back. On this channel, I do comic book reviews, unboxings, and all sorts of stuff like that. So if you're interested in that type of content, consider subscribing. This is the latest in a series that I like to call What I'm Getting, where I take a look at the books coming out in the current week. In this case, we're talking about books coming out Wednesday, September 7th. I tell you what's on the pull list, what's on the chopping block, and what's on the maybe list I'll be making a game time decision on. This week is definitely a lot heavier than last week, but I'm still under budget, and that's always exciting too. So let's talk about the books on my pull list this week, starting with the book that I am most excited for, and that is Batman issue 127. Batman by Chip Zdarsky with Jorge Jimenez on art. Listen, Batman is back. Batman is back. Like, this is the most excited I've been about 2 consecutive issues since I started reading Batman in 2019. And I know it's only 2 issues. It's a very small sample size. But look, this is the most exciting thing that's happened since the Joker War. And the Joker War for me just kind of fizzled out, but it was cool. But anyway, Batman, listen, I'm not spoiling anything. I've learned my lesson from the last time Batman was up on this list. But basically, there's an event. There's something that takes place in the last 2 Batman issues that really challenges Bruce's mind. And if you've read the Grant Morrison run of Batman, then you might have an inkling of a hint as to what could happen when Bruce Wayne's mind is challenged enough. And that callback alone is enough for me to be like, yep, I am all in, because this is referencing one of my favorite Batman stories that I've read. And the art is phenomenal. The writing is great. Even the backup story is good. And you guys know I don't read backup stories, but Chip Zdarsky's writing the Batman or the backup story. But Chip Zdarsky's writing the backup story featuring Catwoman. And I've been enjoying that too. So I'm all in on Batman once again. And Batman 127 is out this week with a cover price of $4.99. And I'm just getting the cover A. Now, since we're talking about DC Comics, it's time to move on to the rest of the DC pull list, starting with Dark Crisis, in parentheses, on Infinite Earths, number 4. Now, Dark Crisis, written by Joshua Williams, and he's been building toward this event for like the better part of a year since Infinite Frontier and the end of Future State and all that. So honestly, I think you get more out of it if you were reading the Infinite Frontier series he did and then the Justice League Incarnate series that he did. But on Dark Crisis, basically the Justice League died, or so we thought. And it's an interesting adventure to figure out how we're going to get the Justice League back, and also, you know, what the state of the DC universe is going to look like when they do return. Now, this is issue number 4. It's a 7-issue miniseries. It's running all the way through the end of this year. And there's a bunch of tie-ins. I think the best tie-ins are the Flash books, from what I've been told. And a lot of the other ones you can skip. But, you know, it's a DC event. I was super hyped for this event, and I admittedly fell off the wagon. Not because it was bad, but because it just, once I found out it referenced Crisis on Infinite Earths, I tried to stop and read Crisis on Infinite Earths, and I haven't been able to get through Crisis on Infinite Earths. So I need to just go find a summary, watch a comic story and video or something, and then jump back into this Joshua Williamson event. I'm hoping I enjoy it, and if not, at least I got some cool covers out of it. So this week, Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, number 4. It's got a cover price of $4.99. I do love this cover A, and that's what I'm getting. And the last book on my DC Comics pull list, speaking of DC events, this is Dark Knights of Steel, Tales from the Three Kingdoms, number 1. So Dark Knights of Steel, if you're not familiar, is a Tom Taylor Elseworld series. Most of the art's handled by Yasmin Putri. And it's really dope. It's kind of like, I've been calling it a Game of Thrones skin, and maybe that's not accurate. I've never watched Game of Thrones, but it's like this whole medieval twist on the DC universe. So if the factions of the DC universe that you're familiar with are more like kingdoms, right? We've got Bruce Wayne's kingdom. We got Superman's kingdom. So we got these kingdoms and they're basically warring against each other. And it's a very, very interesting book. It's high stakes. It's fast paced. There are so many things that are kind of flipped on their head from the normal DC universe. And I enjoy every single issue. And in fact, I've read every single issue, which is cool. But anyway, this is a tie-in book to that. So Tales from the Three Kingdoms, this is supposed to be like a prequel type book so that you understand where Batman, where Zala, and where Superman, where they are, how they grew up, how their upbringings were, and what's led to these three kingdoms that we have now. So interesting stuff going on. Is it essential? Probably not. But do I want it? Absolutely. And the book that I want is the Dan Mora variant. It's a cardstock variant. Oh, I didn't even mention, this is Batman, Superman, Supergirl as kids, right? Like that's enough, right? So this Dan Mora variant has Bruce Wayne as a child with his Batman helmet on, and what else could you want from that? So Dark Knights of Steel, Tales from the Three Kingdoms, #1. Well, I believe it's a one shot. The regular cover A price is $5.99. Because I'm getting that variant, it's going to cost me an extra $1, but that's what I'm getting. And that's it for my DC Comics pull list. If I just stick to the list, my DC books are going to cost me $16 this week. Now let's move on to Marvel, where on the Marvel Comics pull list, first up is Black Panther issue #9. Black Panther is written by John Ridley. I think the last issue I saw was art by Christian Doucet. I could be wrong about that artist. I'm terrible at keeping up with the artists on Black Panther. I can't lie, the art isn't my favorite part of it, but the story has been engaging enough. Now, a lot of Black Panther stans will tell you that Black Panther has been cast aside, subjugated, treated as a second-class citizen in the Marvel Universe. And, you know, who am I to tell them they're wrong for feeling that way? But what I've enjoyed about John Ridley's run so far is it's really examining the relationship between T'Challa and Wakanda. And I think he's got the benefit of being my first, all-in Black Panther writer. I've never read a Black Panther run before this, at least not in singles as it was coming out. So I have a higher tolerance for the things that he's taking the character through. But apparently this is continuing a through line that a lot of people just don't like. But I enjoy it. So anyway, in this issue, T'Challa is rejoining the Avengers after the events of the last story arc. So this is a brand new jumping in point if you would like to jump in. Basically, T'Challa is not feeling like being the king of Wakanda and doesn't feel like he's worthy of that. So what I'm hoping is that his time on the Avengers kind of reinforces some confidence, gets him, back to his place of glory, and we can get back to good T'Challa Wakanda adventures. I'm assuming that's where this is going to go, but who knows? But anyway, Black Panther #9's got a cover price of $3.99. And as long as Alex Ross is doing these cover A's, that's the one I'm getting. Now, let's move on to the rest of the Marvel pull list, which is all X-Men books. Now, the X-Men titles, we're deep in this Avengers, X-Men, Eternals, Judgment Day event. I'm 2 issues behind on, and now we've got 3 tie-ins coming in the same week. So I'm going to be even more behind unless I really make some effort to catch up. But first up is Immortal X-Men issue #6. Immortal X-Men, the book focusing more so on the Quiet Council and the decisions that they make for the future of Krakoa. I've really been enjoying this book. Issue #5 was a spotlight on Exodus. Yes, Exodus was the character. And, it was cool. I enjoyed learning about him, but I wasn't super familiar. And Exodus is a religious character, and he's worshiping, is it magic? Not magic, Hope Summers. So it was an interesting book, just character study. This issue, we're going to be getting a spotlight on Sebastian Shaw, which was one of my favorite characters from the Marauders run when Jerry Duggan was on the title last year. So I'm excited to see Sebastian Shaw, learn a little bit more about his motivations, his place on the council, and what that means when Krakoa is under attack, or even the idea of mutanthood is under attack. So that's interesting to me. And that one's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm grabbing cover A. And next up on the list is Marauders. Marauders number 6, aka Cosmic Marauders. Ever since Steve Orlando took over this book, 5 issues ago, it's been a lot more of like a space saga. And I'm not like super big on space sagas, so I haven't been reading it. But I told myself I was going to stick through the first story arc, and this issue rounds out that last story arc. Actually, I think issue 5 rounded out the story arc, but issue 6 is a Judgment Day tie-in. I'm getting all the Judgment Day tie-ins, but this is going to be my last issue of Marauders until the book like either changes direction or writers or whatever. But that's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm grabbing cover A. And the last book on the Marvel pull list this week, you guessed it, another X tie-in. This is Wolverine issue number 24. Also a Judgment Day tie-in. This is going to be Wolverine versus the Hellbride, which is an agent of the Hand. And, if Logan is slicing stuff up, that's a good book for me. So hopefully that's what we get. And it's not just like Existential Crisis Wolverine, because you never know which one of those you're going to get in this Ben Percy run. But the cover looks promising. So this one's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm grabbing cover A. And that's it for the Marvel Comics pull list. So 4 books on the Marvel pull list cost the same as the 3 books on the DC pull list. And that is $16. $16 this week. Not bad. Now let's move on to the indies, where I probably could drop all these titles, but I'm not dropping any of these titles. First up is Spawn issue 133. You guys know how I feel about Spawn. I pretty much only buy it for the art and or covers. I haven't really been reading Spawn for quite some time, but I always flip through it. I always go, shh, that's dope. And then I put it in the box with the rest of my Spawn books until next month. It's only got a cover price of $2.99. And that cover B by Carlo Barberi, that's what's worth the price of admission this time. And so that's what I'm getting. Now, the next book on the indie pull list is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue 132. Now, I've been pulling TMNT since issue 101, right at the end of the City of War story arc. And it had been up and down for me. And now we've got this event, the Armageddon game, that Tom Waltz is kind of spearheading. And Tom Waltz being back on the title or influencing the world of TMNT has me a little bit more excited. Problem is I'm still behind, but this book ties directly into that. And we see the Turtles teaming up with Shredder to prepare for a fight. And that's interesting in and of itself. So I'm excited to get caught up on this Armageddon game story arc that I believe starts with issue 130. So yeah, I'm excited about that. But that's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm grabbing cover A. And the last book on the on my indie pull list is The Walking Dead Deluxe. This one's issue number 46. You guys know I'm reading I'm not reading it. I'm buying Robert Kirkman's Walking Dead Deluxe because this is the only way you're going to get it in color. My plan is to do a custom bind, of the whole series. So I need to figure out a good breaking point to send off my first bind because we got 45 issues so far. So I need to figure out how I'm going to break up my volumes, and go ahead and send the first one off so I can get it back and then read it. That's going to be exciting, but it's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm grabbing cover A. And that's it for the indies on my pull list. If I just stick to that list, my indies are going to cost me $11 this week. And again, not bad. So my grand total for the week is $43. That's before taxes and before my 10% subscriber discount. So I'm excited about that. Now look, it's Labor Day weekend. Today is Labor Day as I post this video. I'm hoping that your LCS has some deals. So make some time to go to a local comic shop. If you're one of those people who doesn't have one super close to you, check out Midtown Comics. Check out mycomicshop.com. Support a comic shop and you'll probably find some deals, some discounts with it being a holiday weekend. You know how these retailers like to do. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and run to Ultimate Comics Raleigh, my LCS, and see what Dan's got. He's probably got the dollar bin boxes pulled out somewhere. Who knows? But I'm going to find out. So I'm going to see you guys in another video soon. Till then, hope you saw something you liked in this one. And if not, hey, that's cool. You can always buy what you like. Just make sure you read what you buy. And be nice to others, because kindness makes the world go round. Peace.